How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is Big Daddy Dave, and this is a how to get maximum yield out of your field video. And what this video is intended to do is to show anybody who may be new to Farming Simulator, the series, and show them exactly all the steps and procedures that are necessary in order to get everything possible out of your field. So we're going to go step by step to show off everything that needs to be done. As you can see, there's tons of equipment in front of me, and there's many more than just what you see here. And pretty much everything that you see here is needed in order to get the maximum yield out of your crop, the maximum potential out of your field. So what is the very first thing that you have to do when you come onto the game? Well, first thing you need to do is to understand how to read the maps, because the maps are going to be crucial. Not only the maps, but also be able to read the field info screen. As you can see down in the bottom right hand corner, you'll see that we're on farmland number 27. It is owned by me, and we have no fertilizer on this field. We need to lime it and we need to plow it. Those are all the things that need to happen in order to get a better yield off of this field. Now, if we take a look, I am right above farmland number 27, as you can see right here, and all the equipment are here on the screen, as well as where I am centrally located. But what I'm more interested in is these little screens outside of this. So we have the growth calendar, the growth stage, the growth key, I should call it, as well as the soil composition key. These are the two big ones. These are going to tell you the most information that you need regarding your field. So right now, there is no product planted in this field. You saw it as we went in there originally. And if we go in here, you can see that the field is currently in a plowed state. If I go up here and I click on this, you can see that it is indeed in a plowed state. But if I go over one more to soil compositions, yes, we need to then decide exactly what it is that we need to do from here. Now you can see the needs plowing in bright red is showing up right now. If we deselect that, it also says we need to do lime. And if we deselect that, you can see that's nothing else that is needed at the moment. So let's go ahead and reactivate those just so we can see what's going on. So first things first, we need to plow. We need to go ahead and get as much of this stuff cleared off as possible. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this particular tractor here, and I'm going to set a worker up in order for them to be able to do everything that they need to do. Now, if you're looking for a more realistic gameplay style, you are intended to go ahead and set your worker or set it up yourself to where you are sweeping back and forth up and down the rows first, and then going around the outer perimeter of the field to do headlands. That's how you start out with plowing, cultivating, and all that stuff. Now, what do you need in order to change the plowing state? Well, you need a plow. So to do that, you go into your buy menu and you go under your, let's find it, soil cultivation section. Now you have multiple selections that you can do at this particular stage. So we can choose plows. That's the obvious one that we can choose. And you can select any one of these and they should be able to work off that plowed state. And as you look at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, it says, with a plow, you can prepare the field for the next sowing and create new fields. That's all great. That's dandy. Now, what else can we do? We can also use something like a subsoiler. And a subsoiler says, a subsoiler prepares the field for the next sowing. It can be used instead of a plow. This tool is perfect for grapes and olives. So this one in particular is what it's saying. But if we move off that one, it'll say, you know, the same, this thing that we had before there, before it was talking about grapes and whatnot. So you can use these, but these ones do not create new fields. So that's the kind of difference you have here. And lastly, you can also use a spader. A spader prepares a field for the next sowing. It can be used instead of a plow. So there's three sections of the buy menu that you can use. Now, I ended up getting a plow, this big one right here. So let's go ahead and hop into the tractor. Let's set the worker off. It looks like it's all set and ready to go. We'll go ahead and accept that, and we'll set the worker up to go. Oh, no field found. Well, let's get out in the middle of the field. What do you mean there's no... Alright, well, I wonder if it might be because this is folded. Well, that's fine. So, like I said, what you want to do is you just want to come in here and you want to just start ripping into the field as best as you possibly can. So, we just go kind of back and forth, up and down. Yeah, some reason it's just not wanting to. So, tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut out here really fast, and I'm going to go and get a different piece of equipment that's going to allow me to actually set the worker up. So I will cut us out here and I will cut us back in as soon as I get back. Alright, so as you can see here, I went and got myself a subsoiler so we can go ahead and make sure that we get the plowed state. And if you go back into the menu here under the soil composition, you'll see now that the dark red is turning into a blue, as well as the little speckles. Now the blue is the needs lime, so we are definitely taking care of that needs plowing state. But we're also seeing the speckles. Well, the speckles are the stones that are popping up inside the field. If you select and deselect this here, you'll see that those disappear. Now, one thing I will say is that you can get those stones out of the field. You can harvest them directly from the field itself before we put anything in. And you definitely want to do that because anything done beyond this point is going to further accelerate any damage done to your equipment. So you definitely want to take care of these stones one way or another. And the best way, in my opinion, to do that is to get yourself a stone picker and pick them out. But you can roll them. But what we're going to do is we're going to wait for the worker here to finish up the field, and then once they're finished with the field, we will then go ahead and do the remaining steps, which after this is going to be the stone picking. So I'll cut us out here and cut us back in as soon as the worker is done. Alright, we are putting the finishing touches on the field here, and now when we go onto the map here, you'll see every little bit of that red is gone with the exception of the speckles. Again, the speckles are the stones and are to be expected. Anytime you use any kind of cultivating equipment, whether it's a cultivator, whether it's subsoiler, whether it's a plow, whatever, you're going to get stones. And when you get those, what happens after that is you'll get different styles of stones. So if you use a low tillage like a cultivator or something like that, you're going to get small stones. But if you use something that is digging very deep into the soil, like a plow, like a subsoiler, then you're going to get medium and large size stones. Now, depending on the size of stones that you get onto your field will depend on what you need to do from there. So as you can see, these are large stones. We can go to our map and confirm that these are large stones. These look like orange stones as best as I can tell, which means that we have to pick these up. If they were yellow and small stones, we'd be able to just roll them back into the ground. Not a big deal, but we have to use a stone picker in order to get these stones off the field. And like I said before, you want to get these stones off the field because what will happen is if you start doing work on this field with other bits of equipment, it will start to damage that equipment. It will damage it extremely fast. So we'll go into the field here. We'll set the worker up once again to do the inside and then outsides. Let's see, like this, and go ahead and set them loose. Alright, and we are all done with the stone picking here, and now we have the stones off the field. Like I said, this is my preferred method of getting stones off of your field and no longer in the risk category of, you know, destroying your equipment, because it gives you something that you can utilize later down the road. You can either use these stones as a, you know, selling point. You know, you can take it to some place on the map that will accept stones as, you know, something you can sell, or you can use them in a production downstream. So now that we have all these stones off the field, we can come up here and you can see that the plowing state is no longer showing in the bottom right hand corner. The stones are off the field. If we look here, you can see now we're just left with the pretty blue of the needs lime. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to go ahead and grab this set of equipment. And one thing I forgot to show in the last stage is where you find the stone pickers. So stone pickers are here under soil cultivation, just like we were under plows and subsoilers and spaders. And the only option we have at the moment is this right here, the Scorpio 550. So that's the only option you have there. If they're small stones, then you can use a roller, which can be found here under yield improvements in the category of rollers. And you can either use either one of these, and it just smushes them back into the ground to where it's no longer in the way. So now we are going to do the liming portion of this. Let's go out onto the field, just like so. And let's go ahead and hit OK and set the worker off. And now while they're doing that, to find the lime, or the lime spreader, I should say, you go under fertilizer spreaders right here. And this is the only one we have right now that I'm aware of that will not only take fertilizer, but will also take lime, the Bradell K105. So as you can see, they start placing everything down here for the field, and this will eventually take out all the blue that is here, and that is going to leave us with a perfect bed for planting seeds. So let's go ahead and let the worker do their thing, and I'll cut us back in as soon as they're done. All right, so we are just putting the finishing touches on here. For some reason, the worker didn't quite want to finish out, which is fine. That's not a huge deal. So that is done. All right, so now it's decision time. Decision time, decision time, decision time. Why do I say that? The field is done. Everything that has to be done to the field in order to start the selection of the product that's going in is done. If you take a look here, we've got everything here. We got a couple little speckles here on the corner of the needs line, but that's not the end of the world. Just a couple little speckles, not the end of the world. So the reason it's decision time is like I said, we need to figure out what we're going to put in. And right now we're in the month of August. The only things that can go into the field are canola, poplar, grass, and oilseed radish. Now, you have several different paths that you can choose. So we could throw in canola. We could do that right here, right now, and be done. We'll move on and go from there. We could also wait a month and put in something like wheat or barley, or we could do grass still or oilseed radish still. So the possibilities are endless. I mean, if we want to wait several months, we could wait until March and we can put in any number of different things, like oats, like sunflowers, like potatoes, sugar beets, so on and so forth. Everything in green just signifies when you're able to put these seeds in the ground into the field. But I think what would be kind of a good idea is we wait 1 month. Wait a month and we'll put in wheat. And that'll kind of give us a good little baseline as to what to do from this point on. Now, one thing that you can do is, if you take a look at your map one more time, you take a look up here at where it says fertilized. Fertilized comes in 2 stages. You just need to do 2 stages of fertilizer in order to have it give you the full amount of yield from the fertilizer. We already got the full amount of yield for what we're going to get for liming and for stone picking, things like that. The stone picking doesn't necessarily affect the yield, but it does affect the kind of overall quality when it comes to your equipment. So everything all said and done, I think it would be good to kind of point out one last thing when it comes to the oilseed radish. Now, if you wanted to, you can plant oilseed radish, and as you can see down at the very bottom row there, you can plant it from March until October, and it only takes 1 month for the oilseed radish to come up. Now, you plant oilseed radish not as a means of getting a crop, but it's called a cover crop, and what it does is you plow in that oilseed radish after it's grown in for the 1 month duration, and that'll give you that fertilizer state. So you're essentially trading seeds for fertilizer. And seeds are significantly cheaper than fertilizer. So if you have time to wait, it's a good idea to plow in your oilseed radish. That's a good little path to take. In this case, we're not going to end up doing that because I want to show off other equipment. So that's why I'm kind of just saying all this stuff right now. But you can see we still have the manure spreader over there. We have the seeder and so on and so forth. So we still got quite a bit of stuff left to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and skip 1 month. We're going to come back in September where we can plant some wheat. And that way we can show off the remainder of the steps that we need to do. And there we go. We are now in September and we are able to now plow or plant wheat. Now again, if we take a look, September, you can see now the green portion where it's planting season for wheat and barley is now available, as well as the second half of the canola planting season. But we want to plant some wheat. So now let's go ahead and grab our seeder. Now before, we were under the fertilizer categories to be able to go ahead and put down our lime, but now we're in the seeding categories. And in this case, because we were planting wheat, we just need a seeder. If we wanted to plant something like sugar beets, corn, sunflowers, we need a planter. And to make sure that you're distinguishing between the two, if you take a look down at the bottom of the screen there, you'll see all the various plants, all the plant types you'll be able to put in using the various seeding equipment here, and then the various plant types you'd be able to put in with the various seeding planting equipment here. So you get various different options for this. So we have our seeder right here, so let's go ahead and fire this up. Go ahead and unfold. And again, we've got wheat, so let's go ahead and do this. Set the worker off. And we'll come back to it as soon as they're done. Now it just dawned on me that I am actually doing this slightly out of order. So what happened is that I meant to do the manure first, because the manure is going to put down the first state of fertilization. As you can see, we're starting to put this down. And you can find the manure spreaders. Let's see. Are those back up here? Right up here. So under the yield improvements. So you have manure spreaders as well as slurry tankers. Both of these essentially do the same thing. You take either the liquid or the solids and then just throw them back out on the field. Now, if we take a look at the map here, you'll see that we're starting to put down our first base of fertilizer. You can see that darker blue here is doing its thing, and that's the first stage. This light blue is actually the needs rolled portion of this. So we're just going to allow them to kind of take back over and do their thing. All right, as you can see, we're starting to put the finishing touches here. Let's go back to the soil composition, and you can see all the various darker blue bits are where we have put down the first state of fertilizer. So the worker is just going to sit there and try and figure things out. I'm going to go ahead and take over. And there we go, just like that, all said and done. All right, so that's perfect. So now we're going to go drive this down and get into our next set of equipment, which is now the seeder. So slightly out of order, I do apologize, but the reason that you're wanting to put this down first is because after you change the soil by planting, I'm not 100% certain if you can put down first the fertilizer from the manure and then second the fertilizer from the solid fertilizer. I'm afraid that if you try and do it in that order, it's going to make it to where it doesn't want to necessarily work properly. And you got to wait for the ground to change its state, quote unquote, which is just kind of what we're doing here and now in each one of these little passes is we're just changing the state of which the ground is being recognized. So we first went from just a field that needs to be plowed to a field that then needs to be stone picked, to a field that then needs to be so on and so on and so forth. Like each of these individual stages are all kind of the new state of each and every field type. So what we're doing is just making sure that by putting down the fertilizer, that it doesn't think that we're trying to put down 2 stages of fertilizer. Now that's something else that I wanted to point out, is that the manure, you could technically get away with doing just 1 pass with the manure and get 2 stages of the fertilizer, the 2 states of fertilizer. So the dark blue, as you can see under the fertilizer. So that's why it's kind of cut in half. You got the light blue is stage 1, the dark blue is stage 2. Now that dark blue, you can get that by changing the settings on the manure spreader when you're working with that, and get it to where it'll say put down double application rate, and that will actually give you 2 stages of fertilizer, but you're using it at double the amount and it's half the speed. So it just really takes forever and it uses a lot of product. So unless you have a ton of product on hand and you don't want to spend the money on fertilizer, which fertilizer is expensive, so it does work out to your advantage to be able to use to use manure, to use slurry, and just double it up, because the amount that you're going to save is going to be a ridiculous amount. So it's always better to use the cheaper products like manure, like slurry, often because, one, you got it for free technically, because it's a byproduct of the process of owning animals, but you also have the ability to then just save on all that money that you're spending on solid fertilizer. And solid fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, or whatever the case is, you save that money and it adds up quick, real quick. And as you can see, as we're just kind of making our headland around here, we're just going to keep on doing our thing. I'll go ahead and cut us out here and cut us back in as soon as the worker is done. Alright, to help expedite the worker, because they started to not like the corner over there, I decided to go ahead and hop in and do my thing. And now we are all done with this here. So let's go ahead and take care of this equipment. Alright, so now we have put down the seed. We've gotten it to the point where, seed's in the ground. We need to figure out what to do after this. So let's go over here. So we go onto the field, and you can see that it's saying that we need to roll, and there's going to be weeds growing because, we got to take care of that. So, and our yield bonus right now is plus 72%. So we're getting there. We're getting closer and closer to that 100% yield bonus, as well as the the full output of what this field can provide for us. So now we need to get the second stage of fertilizer done. So that is going to be handled with this machine right over here. And again, to get this, we need to go back under fertilizer spreaders, and we can use any one of these bits of equipment here. We can put down the solid fertilizer using this, or if you have both a slurry tanker and a manure spreader, I'm pretty sure you can put down another layer of one of those. And because we planted, because we, oh, come on now. Because we have planted, it has changed the ground state in order for us to be able to put in our next layer of fertilizers. But we'll go ahead and put this down. And you can see that the ground is starting to get a little bit darker, and it's also taking care of that manure that was there on the ground too. So that's actually really good. I'm glad about that. I was a little worried that it wasn't necessarily going to give us the second stage at that portion of the field, but it does look like it's clearing it out for us. And just like that, we're all done. And again, if we take a look at the map, it'll say now needs rolling, but Now you see that we are dark blue. We hop out here, we can confirm 100% fertilized, 100%. So we're done with the fertilizer. We don't need to do any kind of fertilizer whatsoever until this is ready to harvest. So we'll park this right here. Now we will get our roller, which is parked up here. And that is right here. Now, to purchase the roller, we need to go back under, where was this located? Right here, under yield improvements, rollers. So again, one of these two. So you can either use the roller to push the stones into the ground, or you have to do the and in order to get the full yield, is you then have to come out here and roll after you seed. So let's go ahead and get the worker set up. And oh, there we go. All right, so there they go. They're going to get in position, and it looks like, because of how this roller works, it's constantly pushing down on the ground, so there's no stopping it really. As you can see, if we turn back on our rolling, you can see coming out here, it already took out that big chunk of the field. So they're just going to go ahead and do their thing, and I will cut us back in as soon as they're done. All right, so we're just putting the finishing touches on the rolling here. We take a look at the map one more time. You'll see a couple little spots that we missed, but we'll pick those up on the way out. And there we go. We got this little edge that we missed. Perfect. Just like that, the rolling's done. So you can see now we're just left with the solid dark blue fertilizer state. Nothing else now needs to be done to this field. We now just need to sit and wait. That's it. We don't have anything else that needs to be done up into this point. Now, I will say that there does appear to be some little itty bitty spots that may it looks like we're all good. Looks like we are good to go here. So let's see. Yep, we got wheat. So again, you just want to kind of go through and just double check. Now you got the growing stage here that's showing up. So yeah, everything's looking absolutely perfect. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and cut out. We're going to skip by a few months. And then once we kind of get our way back over to the final stage of growth where it's ready to harvest, we'll go ahead and cut us back in at that point in time. So I will go ahead and cut us out and cut us back in as soon as it's ready. We'll see in a little bit. Alright, one thing I wanted to do is cut in here real quick because I wasn't 100% certain about this, because normally in Farming Simulator 22 you wouldn't get weeds if you plowed out the field. But because this is a new game, it might be new play mechanics and all that stuff, we do have weeds here. If we go to the map here, you'll see that we have weeds on the field. And they're all the small weeds, so we need to get a certain bit of equipment. What we're going to need is a tractor, as well as, let's see if I can find it, weeders right here. So we need to get one of these as well as a tractor in order to take out all the weeds from the field. So that's going to increase our yield bonus and get us closer and closer to that 100%. So I'm going to go get that equipment, bring it back here, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, I am back at the field here. Let's go ahead and drive out. Now, one thing to note is that if you have a field with product in it, so in this case it's wheat, if you have a field with product in it like this one here, you need to be careful about when you drive out on it, because right now I have normal sized tires. I didn't change anything about them, but they're just normal tires. But because I'm in stage 1 of growth here on this field, I'm not going to damage or destroy my crop. But if I get any further into the growing process here outside of stage 1, you will damage your field, and you will you'll take that kind of depreciation in yield kind of thing. So it's one of those that you got to be very, very careful about when you come out here. Now, if you come out in narrow tires, certain tractors, we'll look under the small category, and we'll look, we'll get this one here, this Fendt here. If you look and find any time where you see narrows, which I'm not seeing under this brand, there we go, narrow twins or rear narrows or narrow tires. Anytime you see narrow, these you can drive out into the field at any stage using these style of tires. So just make sure that you are aware of that. Now, can we set up a worker for this one? It looks like we can, so let's go ahead and do so. So we can take a look once again, and you can see all the various weeds that are just kind of sprinkled in here. They're not consistent whatsoever on the field, which is, you know, kind of cool. But we'll go ahead and let the worker do their thing, and I'll cut us back in as soon as they're done. All right, we should be done. There we go. Perfect. So let's go ahead and fold this away. And then we're going to go ahead and skip to the next month just to make sure that there's nothing else needing to be done, that nothing else pops up. Just like that. As you can see, we've got the big case harvester for when it comes time to go ahead and start harvesting. But because we planted in the first month of planting season for the wheat, it should be done in the first month of harvesting season, which is July. So if nothing else pops up, I'll see you in July. If something pops up, we'll see you sooner. All right, and here we are. We are in July, and as you can see, the golden wheat directly in front of me, that is ready to harvest. Let's go ahead and do that real fast. We'll hop into our harvester. Now, I'm not sure why there's some missing spots here. That seems weird. Anyways, hop in, turn on, lower, and one thing that you can do too, because we have wheat as a product, we can get, let's do that. Enable straw swap. You can get straw as an output from your wheat. As you can see, that is what's coming out of the back of the harvester. That is weird. I don't know what happened as to why that section failed. Very weird. But we'll just go ahead and do what we need to here. And as you can see, for a small field that this is, we're already over 3,000 liters. That's a really good yield, all things considering. We're already 18% full on one of the largest harvesters this game has to offer. And as we sit here and make our final passes, we're going to be able to get that elusive 100% after this harvest. So because this is our first harvest, there's one stage that we skip that you're just not able to do because you don't have the stubble in order to do it with. So now all right, so off of this itty bitty field, this teeny tiny field, we got over 6,000 liters, 6,476 liters of wheat. That's really, really good. Now we're just going to drive this off the cliff because we don't need this anymore. Just like that. And now what we need to do is we need to have a way to pick up all that straw off of the field. So we're going to go up and grab a tractor and a forage wagon. Now you do have options, so you can, let's see, there we go. You can either use a baler in order to pick up said straw, either a square baler, a round baler, it doesn't matter. And you can then pick it up with the bale trailer and go with that. Or you can use one of these. These are forage wagons, which will allow you to pick up the straw loose from the ground and get it off your field. But we need it off the field in order to do the next step. So let's go ahead and head up to the shop, grab the equipment, come back and pick this stuff up. I'll be right back. All right, and here we are with the forage wagon. We're just going to pick this stuff up loose. I'm going to drop this down and start picking up the straw swath. As you can see, if we pan out just a bit, all that straw that was on the field is now getting picked up and loaded into the trailer. And once this is all picked up and it's all gone out of the way, we're then going to be able to focus on the next portion and last portion of harvesting. All right, one little bit right over here, and then we are done. So after this, we are on to the last step of making sure that we get full yield off of our crops. So we've gotten everything to this point all said and done. So if we take a look, you'll see now we are in a harvested state. And if we go up to the soil compensation, we should see that we need to mulch. But there's nothing here that actually says mulch because that's something we need to do. And if we can get this to sit still just long enough, you'll see that thing that's popping up. I'm pretty sure it's saying needs mulched. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get this out of the way. And I will cut us out here. Ooh, there's a telephone pole. Cut us out here. I'll cut us back in as soon as we bring a mulcher back. We'll see you in a minute. All right, here we are with the last set of equipment that we need. Let's go ahead and pull on here, unfold, and we will work on this. Now you can find mulchers under the soil cultivation here and mulchers. You can use any one of these as long as it says the mulchers can be used to crush the crop stubble, and then we will be good to go. Now if we step out here real quick, you'll see you're no longer getting the yield bonus indicator or anything like that. That's because we don't have a product that is planted in here. But as soon as we do this here, you'll start to see the ground state will change. And this is what's going to give us the final couple of percentage points needed in order to get the full-blown yield on every single field that we own and operate. So this is the secret. This is the procedure needed in order to get things done. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please show me by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things the algorithms enjoy you doing. This shows you're engaged with this channel. Actually, before I do the sign out, so yeah, so once you do this, then you have to repeat everything we've done up until this point. I want to make sure that I said that specifically, because if you don't, then you're not going to get anything else after this. But yeah, once you start repeating this, you'll get the 100% yield on the next harvest cycle. So that's what it all boils down to. So again, if you enjoyed this video, show me by liking, sharing, subscribing, following, commenting, doing all the things the algorithms enjoy doing. The shows you're engaged with the channel and enjoying the content. That being said, I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care.